Just the studios. I have a question. It was said that there were Puerto Ricans in the Spades from the beginning. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Oh,
is.
Puerto
And
Rico. Wow.
let me let me break it down. You got to remember, we came from NYCHA houses where black, Puerto Rican, Chinese all lived together. Because you was Puerto Rican, you didn't join the Puerto Rican gang. I was in one of the first Puerto Rican gangs before I was a Black Spade. You understand? And it was called the Green Berets, and they came out of my junior high school before I became a Black Spade. I was only in it for about maybe 6 or 7 months, but I was the only black that didn't understand a word of Spanish, and I still don't. But I knew when to run. That's all I need to know, and I knew when to fight. You could tell by the language when to fight, and you could tell by the language when to run.
Mhm.
And in the South Bronx, where we came out of, I was in Mount Haven Projects, and we had white spades. We had a Chinese spade.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know if Chet is still alive. Mickey is gone. We had black spade. There was at least about 40, 50% Latinos in the black spades. The bachelors, that's an all Hispanic gang, they had blacks. So it wasn't like because you had a Latino gang or you had a black gang. Now we wasn't in the white gangs, none of us, so you can forget that. But it's not like you was in a black gang or a white gang that you didn't have. Or if you was in a Latino gang, you didn't have no blacks, or you was in a black gang, you didn't have no Latinos. All these gangs was mixed, and we had Puerto Ricans, we had whites. Matter of fact, Soundview. There was brothers that was white that came out of Soundview. Because you remember, we coming out of NYCHA housing. We coming out where we grew up before the gangs even came about. We growing up with friends who were our next door neighbors. Chat lived in my building. Mickey, who was Chinese, lived down the block. They were Chinese in the black space. But there's only one white, but he still was Chinese. We had about 4 or 5 whites that came out of Mount Haven that was in the black space, and we had a bunch of brothers that were Latino that came out the black space.
you said
Because
40-50% Latino.
I would say 40, 50% were Latinos that was in the black space.